Canadian TFSA investors eyeing AI infrastructure can target memory suppliers after Jim Cramer flagged data center shortages as a top 2026 buying theme. This is Modern Investing Techniques, episode 130. Quick reminder, everything we discuss here is for education and entertainment. The practice investment of the day uses simulated trades with no real money. I'm not a licensed financial advisor, and this isn't financial advice. Always do your own research before putting real money to work. Markets edged lower in a mixed session. The S&P 500 closed at 7,710, down 0.2%. The NASDAQ Composite finished at 26,348, off 0.1%. The TSX Composite held flat at 36,136. Rising oil prices and mixed earnings reports weighed on overall sentiment. Bank of America now expects 3 consecutive quarter-point Fed rate hikes beginning in September. Shopify and several energy names posted solid results, while TELUS recorded steep losses. Remember the DAL pick from 28 days ago that closed down 1.41%. A reminder that even strong revenue stories can face headwinds from fuel costs. AI infrastructure names continue to lead as capital expenditure momentum holds. Jim Cramer's 5 2026 buying themes focus on sectors with sustained tailwinds instead of fighting broader headwinds. Today's earnings reports highlight resilient consumer spending alongside steady AI equipment demand. Investors can screen for names such as Lam Research or Applied Materials inside the AI infrastructure bucket. Pair those holdings with resilient consumer names including Capital One. Cramer noted memory chips face shortages throughout the data center, pointing equipment suppliers such as KLA Corp and Lam Research ahead of end users. The approach has historically performed best during sector rotations when macro data supports multiple growth drivers at once. Risks include theme overlap with any broader market drawdown and the need for ongoing earnings confirmation. Pair any theme allocation with a same-day volume check above the 20-day average before committing capital. The resilient consumer theme draws from banks, travel, and retail results showing spending that holds up better than prior assumptions. Names such as American Express, Ralph Lauren, and Williams-Sonoma appear on that list. Cybersecurity holdings such as CrowdStrike and Palo Alto Networks remain relevant because rising threats continue to support dedicated security demand. M&A activity favors Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley under a favorable regulatory backdrop. Healthcare diversification through Eli Lilly and Johnson & Johnson can reduce tech concentration. This week's practice investment is a simulated weekly hold in Micron Technology. The pick uses a valuation screen on memory chip names that avoided the worst of sector selling. Micron shares fell yet held up better than SanDisk and Western Digital after disappointing peer earnings. That relative strength points to data center memory demand remaining intact. The stock trades near 20-day moving average support on the daily chart with volume below the 20-day average. A stop loss sits 8% below entry to guard against broader memory chip rotation. The target range runs 3 to 6% higher over the weekly window if the data center narrative reasserts. This medium setup draws from 2 aligned factors: relative outperformance versus peers plus a valuation buffer, offset by lighter volume confirmation. The trade demonstrates how to use peer relative performance and depressed multiples as entry filters. Listeners learn to require both a fundamental catalyst and volume confirmation before treating any rebound as confirmed. Yesterday's simulated trade reviewed AMD post-earnings positioning. The position entered at $484.50 on the Wednesday open. It exited at $489.28 at Thursday's close. The move delivered a 0.99% gain. That translated to $9.87 on a $1,000 position. The trade captured modest follow-through, yet showed how single-name volatility can still lag broader index moves when volume confirmation stays absent. The lesson centers on requiring closing price confirmation before declaring any catalyst trade complete. Now, here's something that most retail investors get wrong. and it cost me money before I figured it out. Imagine you bought XIU last week when the TSX dipped on earnings misses and your order filled at $38.50. The superficial loss rule resets your adjusted cost base if you repurchase an identical security within 30 days, turning a planned tax saving into a disallowed loss. The mechanism works like this: sell the position at a loss, buy a similar but not identical ETF such as XIC, wait the full 30 days, then repurchase the original if desired. Most retail investors do not realize the T5008 slip reports every disposition to the CRA, so tracking adjusted cost base manually prevents double counting disallowed losses. The capital gains inclusion rate change makes harvesting even more valuable this year because only half of gains are taxable while losses offset at the same rate. A concrete example shows an investor selling 200 shares of XIU at a $4,200 loss, buying XIC for the 30-day window, then switching back. The $4,200 loss can offset future capital gains even after the inclusion rate adjustment. Professionals always verify the exact 30-day window using trade settlement dates rather than trade dates to avoid accidental violations. Assuming any sale automatically creates a usable loss ignores the 30-day rule and leads to denied claims on review. The ETF tracker feed on X publishes real-time largest holdings data for major sector ETFs such as SMH. Canadian TFSA users can cross-reference those weightings against their own holdings to spot unintended concentration. Access is free via X with no subscription required. The latest update shows NVIDIA at 22.11%, Taiwan Semiconductor at 9.28%, Broadcom at 6.72%, Advanced Micro Devices at 5.38%, and Micron at 5.06% inside the semiconductor ETF. The Interactive Brokers Portfolio Analyzer lets users run custom factor screens combining valuation multiples with volume data directly inside the platform. It gives an edge by surfacing names that meet both fundamental and technical filters before retail momentum arrives. Available on the desktop platform at no extra cost for account holders. Investors can combine the analyzer output with ETF holding data to confirm sector exposure before executing theme-based trades. Electra Battery Materials welcomes U.S. black mass export restrictions. The temporary rule limits exports of shredded lithium-ion battery material containing recoverable critical minerals including lithium, nickel, cobalt, manganese, and graphite. Add ELBM to a watch list for any follow-through volume above the 20-day average on TSXV. Shopify and energy companies delivered strong quarterly results. Canadian names showed revenue resilience while TELUS posted a steep loss, illustrating sector divergence inside the same earnings window. Review TFSA energy exposure for any names beating consensus and add to a rebalancing list if underweight. Bank of America shifts to 3 consecutive Fed rate hikes in 2026. The bank now models quarter-point increases at the September, October, and December meetings after pricing in a modest adjustment path. Trim duration in fixed income holdings inside RRSP accounts and favor floating rate exposure. Micron shares fall but avoid the worst of memory chip sell-off. Peer results from SanDisk and Western Digital triggered sharper declines, leaving MU relatively resilient on data center demand. Watch MU for a retest of the 20-day moving average before adding any tech exposure. Portfolio performance covers 45 simulated trades of $1,000 each. The win rate stands at 53% with 24 wins, 20 losses, and 1 break-even. Cumulative profit and loss totals $246.82. Matched window alpha versus the NASDAQ reaches plus 2.3% across 40 benchmark trades. Open your brokerage screen for MU, note the current distance to the 20-day moving average, and set a price alert 2% above that level to flag any volume-supported bounce. Tomorrow, I will walk through how the MU position develops after the first trading day. That's it for today's Modern Investing Techniques. The resources page has links to everything we discussed. Subscribe and share with someone who wants to go beyond index funds. See you tomorrow. And if you'd rather watch than listen, find us on YouTube at NARA Network. Links in the show notes. Quick tip from the network: try models and agents for beginners next. Artificial intelligence explained simply for beginners and curious teens. Every NARA Network show is free at naranetwork.com. And on the website, every episode's visuals live in our free image gallery at naranetwork.com/gallery. Royalty free under Creative Commons, download with attribution. This episode used AI voice synthesis of my voice. Editorial selection and analysis are my own.
Do you ever wonder where we go after this? Are you high right now? Do you ever get nervous? Do you ever stay awake, counting sheep like all the time? What's your life like? What's your purpose? When's your birthday? What's your sign? Are you down right now? Are you stuck up in the past? Are you still thinking about all the time?